Okay, what's up, everybody? PG Braun here with my
Hello.
beautiful wife, Melissa, and baby Enzo. This is a very serious video. I haven't done any videos in a while. I'm about to get into why, but I wanted to put this video out. And Marissa is, when it comes to social media, she's the opposite of me. She has a private page, keeps things to herself. So I thank her for letting me tell this story because it's a story that I want to have put out. But our son, Enzo, our pride and joy, was born with a very rare genetic life-threatening disease called Hurler Syndrome. And I want to put this video out to spread awareness and to maybe make some friends with some other families that have perhaps gone through this, even though it's super rare. And also
Give the numbers 1 out of.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get into all that, but I want to also encourage people to become bone marrow donors because of that, some complete stranger is going to save our baby's life. And that's just really incredible. I looked in to see what I could do to be a donor. You can look on the Cleveland Clinic website. Because of my Epstein-Barr virus, I actually can't be a donor, but I encourage you guys, you could save a life. A lot of people donate blood. I've donated blood tons of times, but they need bone marrow donors, and a lot of babies, people don't find matches, and we did get a match. We're very lucky. So I'm gonna go through what happened. Okay, so when Enzo was 3 weeks old, we got a call from a random Miami phone number that we've never seen before. They kept on calling. So finally, Marissa's like, this number keeps on calling me. Can you answer it? So I picked up the phone and they said, we're looking for the parents of Enzo Braun. And I'm like, this is his dad. Who's this? And the woman said, hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm calling from the University of Miami Genetics Department. Your son has an abnormal infant heel prick screening and he needs to come in for testing immediately. He is tested positive for Hurler Syndrome. And I'm like, what is Hurler Syndrome? I've never heard of this. I've been involved in the human body and medicine my entire life. I've never come across this. And she said, I'm going to send you some information on it. I'm going to text it to you, but you need to come in immediately. And so I said, why hasn't the pediatrician called us? She said, we're trying to get a hold of the pediatrician, but it's very time sensitive. You got to come in here now. So long story short, our pediatrician called us late that night and was like, get in there tomorrow. So we drive.
Yes, it's real.
Yeah,
because we thought it was not real.
We drive down to Miami to get to the bottom of this. Now, in the meantime, this is something that I would not recommend people doing. I Googled it and I went into a rabbit hole for like 2 hours. And there was a point where I was in the bathroom, basically hiding and crying. And I didn't want Marissa to know. I didn't even want her to read the things that I was reading. There's no cure. The average life expectancy without treatment is not more than 10 years. All I'm thinking is this kid has to be a mistake. He's perfect. There's nothing wrong with him. So we get down there and we meet a team. We meet a grievance counselor. We meet multiple doctors, geneticists, and they tell us this is a recessive trait passed down from the parents. So what that means is both Marissa and I carried the same genetic mutation. And this genetic mutation, every person that has these mutations, you have a positive and a negative copy of it. Well, we both passed on the positive copy that makes it effective in his body. So they did DNA tests on both of us to make sure that we have the same thing, which we did. So it was not a mistake. And basically we've been in the doctors and hospitals nonsense since then because it is very, very imperative with Hurler syndrome that you start treatment as soon as possible, because what happens with this rare condition, it's called a lysosome disorder. So his body doesn't make a necessary enzyme that breaks down sugars. And because of that, what are called GAGs build up all over his body and they basically destroy everything. So the good things that GAGs do is they'll help lubricate your joints, but your body's supposed to break them down and secrete them in urine. His body doesn't do that. So it'll build up everywhere in his liver, in his kidneys, in his lungs, his brain. It'll destroy his brain. So thankfully, we live in a modern era of medicine where a company has come up with medication that basically mimics what this enzyme does, and it'll stop all the bad stuff that's happening in his body. However, the brain is such a complex and incredible thing. And I know a lot about the blood-brain barrier from working in supplements my whole life. And I understood this right away when they said it. The medication doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier, meaning that it can't get through that defense to get into the brain and protect his brain. The only way around that is with a bone marrow transplant. So when we met the hematologist that's gone over that, he told us, listen, if you don't do a bone marrow transplant, it's 100% death. And it's not a fast death, it's a slow and painful death. If you do a bone marrow transplant, he's like, there's a 95% chance that your child will go on and have a normal life. He's like, Hurler Syndrome is very rare. He's like, I've done about 12 in my life, but we got one 12 years ago, little girl, caught her early by 6 months old. He's like, and now she's on honor roll. She rides horses. You would never know that she had anything, so serious. And I encourage you to act on this. So, of course, we said we want to do anything for him. So it's been a process between Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital and Miami. But like I said, thank God they found a donor for him right away. So we're in the process now. He just started the enzyme treatments this week. And on Tuesday, so by the time this video comes out, this might have already even happened, he'll get surgery to get a little port put in his chest to make it easier to get all the IV medications. And then once his body is ready, he'll be admitted into Miami. So you guys aren't going to see him for a while when this happens. And I knew, because I've been posting him so much, that I was going to get tons of questions. Like, where's Enzo? Where's Enzo? Where's Enzo? So I want to get ahead of it and say, we are doing everything that we can to protect him and make sure that he is okay and that we get this handled as fast as possible. And it's been very stressful, but we're doing, I think, an awesome job. And Marissa has been amazing.
You have been too. We've been super proactive. So just a lot of doctor's appointments, keeping up on that, the schedule, both of our schedules, plus having a newborn and being new time parents. I think that we both we're being super proactive, which is really good. So
yeah, they gave us a long list of specialists to go see. And each specialist that we've gone to, again, thank God, they've told us he's okay. We had to see a cardiologist. His heart's okay. We had to see ear, nose, and throat. He said everything looks good. We had to see neurologist, totally normal.
And he's hitting all of his milestones. He's I think ahead of the game too, which is for parents. And with the syndrome, it's very, I'm proud of it, I don't know.
Yeah, Hurler Syndrome is unique in the sense that it is a spectrum, but there's no way of telling how severe it is when they're born, which is why they encourage to go fast. Now, Florida is a state that does at least 50 different screenings when a baby is born. Now, there are states that don't even do 39. I looked through all of this, educating myself. And if they didn't do that infant screening, we wouldn't know. And I read horror stories about families that found out when things were way too late.
5-10 years ago. Right?
The medicine and everything that they've done with this has accelerated dramatically in the past 10 years. And if there was a time to be diagnosed with this is a much better time now than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, because there's no reversing the negative stuff, even if you're 2 years old and you figure it out. So, he is just 3.5 months old and already started treatment. So we're excited about that. The nurses have all said, how tough and tolerant he is. And Marissa told the nurse the other day, well, his middle name is Rocky. Mm-hmm. We had no idea that he was going to be fighting already, when we picked that for his middle name, but it's very fitting. Yeah. So if anybody has a family member or anybody that's gone through Hurler Syndrome, let me know, whether it's in the comments or DM me. Maybe they have some insight that they can share with me. The doctors barely even know about this.
Yeah.
1 in 500,000 babies is born with Hurler Syndrome. So there'll be less than 50 babies diagnosed in the United States this year. It's that rare. Also, if you do have this, I encourage everyone to go and get genetic testing done. So when Marissa was 32 weeks or whatever it is, they did do some genetics testing. They told her, oh, everything's fine, but they didn't do a lot of tests. I would have loved to know. And we still would have absolutely, of course, had the baby, but we wouldn't have been blindsided the way that we were.
I think they do it at, when they test for the gender, they do it like in the earlier weeks, but you have to specifically ask, I think, for everything, because I know my sister did it. And, obviously you'll test for certain genes, but as long as you both don't carry it, the baby won't be affected. And it wouldn't have changed anything for us. But as, as new time parents being a little bit more prepared, it would have been like, okay, like, we're going to do this, so instead of being blindsided. But.
Yeah, because that was the longest, about 3 weeks of my life waiting for those test results. And
oh my God, yeah.
That was when I was going to the gym at 3 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't sleep. And
I wake up, I'm like, where are you? It's like I couldn't sleep. I'm at the gym. I'm like, okay.
And I kept this to myself. So I don't know other dads out there how you would have done it if you were in my shoes. But because I understand the human body the way I do, and I understood what was going on, I knew how terrifying it was, and I didn't want to explain it to Marissa until we got a for sure, yes, it is positive, he does actually have it. Once that happened, we had a talk, and I said, listen, we wanted to have a baby, and we said that we're going to have a baby, and we're going to give this baby the best life possible, we're going to love this baby more than anything. And that objective never changed.
No.
It just exactly the same plan, just with a lot of other stuff going on now.
Yeah.
So,
and I think we're very capable of handling it. Like, we have the right resources now, and
baby Enzo is doing great. He hasn't had anything negative at all so far, and we're really excited. So. I'll probably now talk a little bit in my story about what's going on. We're not going to show him going through chemotherapy and all that.
No. We're
not going to show him in the hospital. He's been in the hospital for about 8 weeks when he goes through the chemotherapy and the bone marrow transplant. It's going to be a lot. So, I'll talk about what's going on with me, but we're going to keep that out of it. And then we'll show you, of course, the success afterwards. And, maybe I don't know if I'll get to meet who the donor is that's going to save his life, but I'd like to say thank you. There's a lot of doctors and very, very smart people involved.
There's a whole team. I mean, there has to be at least, like, off the top of my head, doctors and, like, counselors and everything. Like, 10 people, 15 people. So.
I'm really impressed with the company. It's called Sanofi that makes the medication. They have had a rep that's been contacting us all the time to make sure that Enzo's okay and that everything's going, that he started his medication on time, which I really appreciate. I've never dealt with doctors that were so hands-on the way that his doctors are, and it makes us feel really good. We know we're in very good hands between the two different hospitals. So now I will say, just throwing this extra information out there, the big hospital that specializes in this is Minnesota Children's Hospital, but we aren't going to move to Minnesota. These doctors all talk to each other, and there is now, if any of you have ever read about CRISPR, brand new, but they can actually take his own stem cells, edit them. He goes through the chemotherapy, put it back in, and they've got success with it. They've only got about 18 months of data, where bone marrow, they've got 20 plus years of data. So the doctor who's doing this said, listen, if we can't find a donor, you can look into that. It's very expensive. They don't do it at this hospital. You'll have to go somewhere. Let's see what happens. I would do anything. But, thank you, God.
Yeah.
We found a bone marrow. They found a bone marrow like that.
Like, super quick.
Couldn't believe it.
Like a week later, maybe we got a call?
So, that's everything, guys. I'm not trying to get sympathy or anything like that.
No.
Prayers are great, of course. I'm not going to turn those down. I will talk about what's going on in my story, but we're not going to do any of the hospital stuff. There's already been so much hospital stuff. Seeing your baby hooked up to all these different machines and everything. It's a lot. But we're both really strong. We've been through a lot. And, everything happens for a reason. And God knew that we were very, very strong and capable. And
that's what I was trying to say before.
Yeah. Right, little guy?
Right.
He's sleeping.
And he's got the smartest guy for a dad with all the medical stuff, so this is great.
And look at, we match. He's got his little black stone.
Oh, I know, look.
Mama's got her black stone pants, so there you go. There he goes. Oh, he's so sleepy.